Welcome to Dresden, Germany for some city centre cross-country skiing. 2 days of World Cup sprint racing coming up here on Eurosport with Simon Golding and former GB World Cup cross-country athlete Posey Musgrave. And we'll be with you for the women's and men's finals. Few big names missing, so chances for various names to get on the podium. And we drop in on quarter-final 2 as this race comes towards its end. The likes of Falk and Caldwell, the form athletes in this one. Hannah Falk has certainly been the fastest athlete through qualification, and she crosses the line in first position. Caldwell just tripping over, I think, just ahead of Cobb, but we might have a photo on that one. But Posey, welcome back to the commentary booth here at Eurosport. As I said, a few names missing. There are reasons for that, but some stars still here.
Yes, indeed, Simon. It's going to be interesting to see who really takes advantage of that opportunity that they've got today. There are still some great skiers here. You know, Hannah Falk, we've just seen, some of those American ladies. So it's not by any means a given that anyone can end up on the podium. But we are seeing a few people resting up after the Tour de Ski, for one thing. And also, we've got the Norwegian Championships happening this weekend as well. So some of those top Norwegians who are battling out for the Olympics are looking to show their form there instead of here.
Yes, certainly some of the all-rounders, some of the distance athletes deciding to give this one a miss, because this is all out speed.
Yeah, this is one for the sprinters, and particularly this course here today. We've got just over 2 minutes on the clock for the qualification round. Now, that is a quick sprint, so it's really for those pure sprinters that are going to be proving their form here.
Well, we're in the city centre here in Dresden. The snow has been trucked in, and we're right on the banks of the Elbe, with the Opera House just across on the far side. So it really is a very interesting, very novel setting, and we've got a good crowd here as well. So Falk and Caldwell confirmed us through, and remember, the lucky losers as well, the fastest times, also go through to the semi-finals from our 5 quarter-finals. So Nilsson and Fabian through from quarter-final 1, Falk and Caldwell through from quarter-final 2. Quarter-final 3, and a couple of big names from sprinting this season. Lauriane van der Graaf of Switzerland with that fabulous win in Lenzerheide on home snow just a short time ago. She was 3rd fastest in qualification, so she goes bib 3. Then we've got Maja Dahlqvist of Sweden goes bib 5. She was 5th fastest qualifier. And then coming down through the list, we've got the likes of bib 26, so Laura Gimler of Germany. She's got 2 teammates in this one as well, Šičko and Herman. And bib 10 is Katja Rizna. 2 experienced Slovenians going in the sprints today. Might see Slovenia on the podium today. Second of the Germans, that's Nadine Herman, under 23 athlete, and remember, there is an under 23 category that runs in the sprints. And then the last one, Elisabeth Šičko, in front of the home crowd. Plenty of fans here in Dresden will be cheering these German athletes on. And we'll see now the full extent of this course, and it really is blink and you will miss it. There's a couple of sections that are very tight. There's only one real section for passing. Absolutely,
it's short and sharp out there today, so it's absolutely vital that the athletes get off to a good start. After they come out of that starting blocks, the course narrows down quite quickly, and you can see already they're 2 abreast here, but there's not much room for them to get through. So if you've ended up in the back of the pack, you're going to have to take your opportunities to pass when you get them, and there are not too many out there.
Burst of speed then from the start from the Swiss. So van der Graaf, she's had a wonderful result in Lenzerheide, full of confidence, making her way to the head of the field. Just behind her, the 5th fastest qualifier, Dahlqvist. So the 2 athletes we were expecting to see out in front have made their move, and this is very determined from the Swiss.
Yeah, I'm sure that win in Lenzerheide's done her a world of good with the confidence, just given her the knowledge that she can just go out front, work hard and try and control the race. I think that's what's going to be important today.
And you won't want to leave anything out there on course. It's such a short sprint. You can just put everything in there, and she's done that very well, coming off that right-hander, coming back towards the bridge in the slightly wider part of the course. So van der Graaf guarding against that by just keeping the speed up, blocking any route past for Dahlqvist. Good work so far.
Yeah, you can see how fast it is, though. Those athletes in the back are able to just free skate. They're not using their poles at all because they've got a bit of a draft from the people in front. So they are working a little bit less than those in the front, but if they want to get around, they're going to have to work very fast, work really hard, and find those crucial spots to do it as well. So it's not an easy course.
There's our one bit of elevation, the hill, we're going to call that for today. That's where the course splits off on itself, so you're coming back down towards the finish area. Tiny climb, tiny little downhill, and then we're into the finishing straight. And those are our luckiest losers at the moment, so Kolb and Sundling from the earlier quarterfinals. And Van der Graaf goes to the middle lane. Dahlqvist goes outside her, and Dahlqvist putting the power down and goes past the Swiss. So Van der Graaf in second. Good win for Dahlqvist in first position. Snow looks to be getting just a little slower as we go through the day.
Yeah, it's a little bit dirty as well out there. That's the thing with these city sprints. When they truck it in, it is old snow. There's not a huge base there, so it's not the prettiest of snow, but it'll do the job and it'll get them through the weekend.
Next two qualifiers through, then we'll double check all those times for you in terms of our lucky losers. So we get two qualifiers from each of our 5 quarterfinals, plus the 2 fastest losers from all 5 of those quarters, and that will make up our 2 semi-finals of 6 apiece. Decent race there from Van der Graaf, a very nicely timed attack, and that's basically the action we're going to see today. Nice build-up through this course, wrapping back on itself, and then just coming off the last little slope into the finish area. That's where we're going to see all of the action. So Chicho of Germany, at the moment, lucky loser time, but through from that one, Van der Graaf and Dahlqvist. Quarterfinal number 4 of the women's sprints here in Dresden on this rapid course, just 1.2 kilometres in length. Here in the city centre on the banks of the River Elbe. And Marie Eider is bib 6. There's the fastest qualifier in this 4th quarter, Anna Dvik of Sweden. Bib 8 is Greta Laurent. Quite a few names that you don't always see coming through to the latter stages of the sprints. There's quite a large amount of the bigger names missing from the top of the draw. So plenty of opportunities today. Gaia Vuric of Italy as well, in bib 17. Number 13 getting the roar from the home crowd here in Dresden is Anne Winkler. And then finally, Polina Kovaleva of Russia, bib 28. Nice mix of athletes today, and a real chance for some of the youngsters to have a go at the big names.
Absolutely, quite a few under-23s on the list there, getting their chance to take over from their more experienced teammates for the weekend, prove their worth and try and fight their way onto the national team, get a more permanent spot in these World Cup starts.
You forget about all those little byplays, those little individual goals that are there for the athletes, but all so important. So quarter-final number 4 is away, and the Italian ski suit into the lead, as well as Anna Dvik of Sweden just pushing things along. But at the moment it's Vuric, and it's Dvik that's decided just to sit in behind her with Anne Winkler alongside her, and bib 8 Gaia Laurent. So Dvik has got to be a little bit careful here. She's getting boxed in.
Yeah, she does have to find her opportunity here to pass. And same with Mari Eider over on the right there in the Norwegian suit. I'd expect her to be up in the front. One of the more experienced athletes, I think, in this heat. So she'll be looking for her opportunity to get up the front. But it's just going to be a little bit scrappy out there. When you want to pass, it's not always going to be easy. You might have to force your way through a little bit, I think. So we could see a little bit of jostling, I think, on course today.
Now Dvik handed a bit of space there, but it's on the outside, and that's not where she wants to be. So she couldn't take that opportunity, has to tuck in again. Now she's going to try and make the speed count down this next run in order to get herself a place here to set up for the sprint. And it looks like she's making her way through. But this is good work from Vuric, still holding on to the lead, bib 17, just ahead of her compatriot Laurent.
Yeah, the Italians are controlling the race really well at the front there. They've sort of got that front section covered quite well between them, trying to stop anyone else coming through. But Duvic's just nipped through there, so not quite able to hold off the others. And Mari Eider as well. I think as they've come under that bridge, I mentioned it got wider. But I think it looks like someone's had a bit of a tangle there at the back. We've lost 2 up the back there.
Definitely lost 2. It looks like Eider might have gone bib 6. So it is a great move from Dvik. We thought she would have the power coming through to that wider section under the Augustus Bridge, and she's done that over the little hump and then down into the finish. So this should be Anna Dvik for Sweden taking this one out, chooses the middle route, and just behind her, happy in second, that is Vuric. So that's the result. That's your 1-2 from this one. And that's the kind of racing we're going to see during the course of today. There's some decisions to be made, and you've got to make those decisions pretty quickly. You've got to commit to them and trust yourself, and Vic did just that. Didn't panic.
Yeah, she did really well to come through there. It's not easy when you only have a couple of opportunities to really make the most of them, but I think she did that, and she did it really well. We could see Ada tried to do exactly the same, but unfortunately didn't get in. There you see her just coming in now. So if you don't manage, you could end up, unfortunately, having a bad day at the office.
Yes, and that's exactly what's happened to Ada. So she's out. Kovaleva as well out, and because it was a slow heat, no lucky loser coming through from the 3rd and 4th spots. And this is the closest, most tactical race that we've seen so far, and that's the aftermath of the tangle. Well, you spotted it, Posey, as they just came to the bottom of that slope, and it was Ada and Laurent that got in a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it's a shame for Ida. I think she had her eye on a good finish today. It was one of the more experienced Norwegians getting the chance, but that's sprint racing. These things happen, and if you want to be good, you've got to stay on your feet. It's as simple as that sometimes.
And not a course that's easy to stay on your feet here. This is going to be tricky. Beautiful scenes on the banks of the Elbe here in Dresden. And Vic and Vuric confirmed as through for Sweden and Italy. Last quarter-final for the women. Those are the 6 athletes. And the fastest of them, Čebušek of Slovenia, through with a time of 2:07.87. There she is in the number 7 bib. So technically the form athlete here. And then when you look down the list from there, the next fastest qualifier was 14th. So Ida Sargent, bib 14, and then 16 is Ida Ingmarsdottir. So Slovenia, USA, Sweden. There is Sargent. And the Americans have had a good sprint season so far, through the likes of Bjornsson and Randall and Caldwell getting onto the podium in every single race. And they could do it again here today. Caldwell through from her quarter-final. So Tatiana Aleshina of Russia, and then Nadine Ferdrich of Switzerland, and Deborah Roncari completes the lineup. Fendrich did 20. Well, we know what to expect now from this course, and we know where the fireworks are going to happen. So it's fast, away from the start line. Get yourself a position if you can, and then try and hold off the challenges as you come through those sections of the course where there is a little bit of space to attack, but they are few and far between. Last quarter-final then, away for the women.
Yeah, keep an eye out for Ingemarsdottir in this one. She's by far the most experienced athlete in the heat, so I think she'll know how to manage this one. You can see she's slotted herself into 2nd place there, although it's a little bit scrappy again, as we've seen already so far, as she tries to keep that place. And then we've got Ida Sargent in front. And as you said, the American women have just had an absolutely incredible season so far, so I'm sure she'll want to be contributing to that and getting her own place at the top of the results list.
Yes, that little bit of success has bred a really good feeling in the camp. Unfortunately, Keegan Randall picking up an injury. She did race here today, but didn't make it through qualification, so clearly some problems still there.
Yeah, I think she's struggling with a bit of a foot injury, which I think she's just trying to manage. We saw as well she started the 1st stage of the Tour de Ski, didn't qualify in that sprint either, and then pulled out from the rest of the Tour. So obviously trying her best to get back to fitness, but doesn't look like she's quite there.
Back to this particular quarter-final then. Sargent holding that inside line, and that's important for that right-hander at the top of the course, because that sets you up nicely. So Sargent comes away from that one with the lead still from Fendrich. And then on the inside line, that's Aleshina, who got a good turn of speed away from the start line. And if Aleshina can hold on to that line there, she's going to have a bit of space, but looks like she's being closed down there by Roncari, the Italian skating through. But still Sargent with the lead, and not much space at the moment for Ingmarsdottir of Sweden. Bib 16's going to have to watch herself. And Čebušek as well of Slovenia at the moment, the fastest qualifier in this heat, getting frozen out of it This is good work from Sargent, good powerful skiing as she leaps into the little hump there. And I think Ingmarsdottir has been handed a bit of space here. Yes, she's got the space she needs now as they come towards the downslope into this finish area, and it's starting to work for Ingmarsdottir now.
It is indeed, but it's a tight three-way battle there. This is one of the closest ones we've seen so far, but she's got herself a great line there, just getting on the inside into that little curve, into the finishing straight. She's a slight advantage, but she's going to have to work down this finishing straight. She's got Sargent and Chebasek and Hendrick all at her feet.
Good close there from Chebasek. That was a clever piece of work from her. She made her decision to go with Ingmarsdottir and just basically slipstream her down that finishing run and managed to squeeze in between the other two.
Yeah, that was a risky decision. I wasn't sure that was going to work out, but she's lucky to have just sneaked in there. And disappointing for Sargent, who led that whole heat start to finish and just got pipped at the end.
Down as a photo, so we're going to have to see who takes it out of Chebasek and Sargent. But again, Ingmarsdottir just using that experience to manage the race. So good to have the knowledge that you've got that power, and when the space opens up, there you go.
Absolutely, experience really coming through, having the confidence to wait and just get that where she needed it to get in front of the pack.
So good win for Ingmarsdottir. We'll confirm exactly who is through when we come back. Welcome back to Dresden, and welcome back to the men's quarterfinals. There's the superstar in terms of sprinting over the last couple of seasons, but this year in particular, Klæbo has been just immense for Norway and has won all the races that he's taken part in. Baptiste Gros of France through as the 11th fastest qualifier into this heat. Then Gleb Ritovic of Russia is bib number 4. Bib 28, Michael Hellweger, Italy. Roman Schad, bib 30 of Switzerland. He's the man that just squeezed into this quarterfinal stage, and Theodor Pedersen, bib number 7. So we've got the 2nd, the 4th and the 7th fastest qualifiers in this one, Posey. I think this is going to be tight. Yeah,
this is going to be a stacked heat. I think looking down, this is certainly one of the toughest ones to get through, particularly with Klæbo there, as you said, the real star of the season, just an unbelievable form. So it's going to be a case of getting on his tail, I think, and trying to follow him.
The most successful sprinter at the moment on the tour. Nobody seemingly able to touch him in the sprints. We knew he was going to be good when he emerged on the scene a couple of years ago, and look at that. That is just madness away from the line from Klæbo. He's not going to get involved in any shenanigans. He's going to the front, and he's going to lead this, or try and lead this, all the way home. 1:50.57 was his qualifying time. 2nd fastest, so he wasn't the fastest man, but he's favourite today.
Yeah, I think 2nd in qualifying won't worry him in the slightest. I think he's very confident that he'll be able to get on that top spot. Hasn't lost a sprint so far this year, and just coming off the back of an incredible win at the Norwegian National Championships this week, where he won the qualifier by almost 6 seconds, which is a margin you do not hear of in sprint racing. So on some unbelievable form and with incredible confidence, I think, as well.
And it's phenomenal. I know it's in a national championships, but that's a national championships that's virtually a world championships.
I think anyone would be very happy to be on that podium at the Norwegian National Championships.
Into that corner, nice and tight from Klæbo, just skates it round, making sure that he blocks any route for bib 28, Michael Hellweger, who's been having a go, and down goes Retovic of Russia. So the 4th fastest qualifier is out, and that's allowed Klæbo a bit of space. Now, this is where you're going to see what sort of damage he can do to this field. Coming down the straight towards the little hump ahead of the finish area, and he looks imperious.
He does indeed. We've got Roman Schad and Theodor Pedersen right behind him, but we saw in all of those women's heats, it was bunched up right till the end, and he's managed to get a little bit of space between them, so it just shows he is not afraid to really go for it.
Norwegian flags fluttering, and I'm sure they will be at the end of the day. Klæbo, a very difficult man to beat in this sort of form, and on this course, a real flyer's course. He's just going to have something go wrong for him to miss out, I think, today. This is good. He's handled it well. And it's the battle for that 2nd place that is going to be very important. And it's the man that finished 7th in the qualifiers, Pedersen, going for it. But he might have just missed out to Schad there. And Schad, who squeezed into these quarterfinals by the skin of his teeth, has just bought himself a place in the semi-finals.
Great finish there by Schad. Just managed to pip it on the line, stuck his foot in front. It's the tip of the foot that counts when they do the photo finish, and he managed to just push his foot forward, and I think he's nipped that in front of Pedersen.
Well, Pedersen will be kicking himself because he positioned himself very nicely there, but unfortunately couldn't manage to get the job done. But as we expected, Johannes Høsflot Klæbo quite brilliant. Unfortunate for Letevic, the Russian. Had a good qualification time, but he's not able to carry that through in the quarters. Look at that, a little look over his shoulder. He's coasted. He has literally coasted down to that finish line. And well done, Shard, lunging on the line to get his place in the semis. Great crowd here in Dresden for this city centre sprint. Several days of the trucks being brought into the city centre full of snow. Then it rained, just what you need as an organiser, so they've had to bring more snow in.
Yeah, and they've really limited the athletes' time on the course as well because of that. So the athletes only had 20 minutes to train on the course this morning, which is not an awful lot, even for a short course. You want a bit of time to get yourself familiarised and just get a bit of time on skis before you race. So it means some of them have done their warm-up with some running, some of them might have some stationary bikes there as well, just to make sure they're warmed up, fully ready to go.
Second quarter-final for the men, and another cracker. Lucas Chavanard, Federico Pellegrino, Paul Truent-Hone of Norway, and then Russia's Andrei Krasnov, Australia's Philip Bellingham, and Sweden's Emil Johansson. There's a couple of big units in this race for a very tight course.
Yeah, there certainly is, and a couple of very speedy ones out there. Chavanard, fastest qualifier, and Pellegrino in 5th as well, as someone we're used to seeing at the top of the podium. So not an easy heat again to get through.
Yeah, Pellegrino's had a good season. As they often say, class is permanent, and he's one of those athletes you put in the class category. So, as I said, some big lads on the start line for this one. This is where we're going to see just how tight this course gets. A few of them on a yellow card as well. Chavanard amongst those athletes on a yellow card coming into this event, so he's got to keep his elbows in.
Yeah, just be a little bit polite out there. I'm sure he won't be, but he should be.
Away they go. So speed away from the line, driving down this straight alongside the banks of the Elbe towards this very tight turn at the top of the course. That was bib 29, Emil Johansson, really putting some work in, but a very calm style from Lucas Chavanard. Good ski speed from him, and very calmly achieved as well alongside Ona. But that's Johansson just coming through on the inside, and that's a good position to be in when you get to that right-hander at the top of the course. Whereas the big Norwegian, just a little wider, is going to have to make his way around that turn and find a few extra metres.
He is indeed, and just keep an eye out for Pellegrino as well. He's in 3rd place in the moment, or 3rd in the line there, and he is going to have to work a little bit hard to get around people, but he's one who's got a really great turn of speed, so he should be able to do that.
Pellegrino just waiting his time. Bib 5 on the inside in the Italian ski suit. And as they come back now towards the stadium, so basically you just trace your way all the way back down the course, and then where you see the little hump, that's where the course breaks off and away from itself, back up towards the crowd and then back down into the stadium. It's quite nicely set up here in terms of vantage points. The speed starting to build, and just as you said, Posey, through comes Pellegrino.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the experience, he knows how to work it. He's not going to miss that opportunity there as they come under the bridge. So him and Chavanard in front, that is what I'd have expected to see, but it's definitely not over yet. And keep an eye out for Arne, the Norwegian, really good sprinter as well. Does still have a chance here, so I don't think it's by any means a given, but Chavanard and Pellegrino look comfortable and in control as they come into the finish straight.
Onto the downslope and into that finishing straight, and it is Chavanard alongside Pellegrino, both men making the podium in Lenzerheide. It was Pellegrino 2nd and Chavanard 3rd on that occasion, and here it's Chavanard that takes the win. So the fastest qualifier goes through as the winner in his heat, just ahead of Pellegrino, and it looked like a pretty rapid quarter-final as well, so we might see 1 or 2 of those athletes through as lucky losers, but very well managed, and look at that, not even out of breath.
No, nice casual race, nice and easy, just holding a little bit off for the next round.
A bit like the sprinters on the track there, both Chavanard and Pellegrino determined to show everyone else that that was just a walk in the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see some unusual names in that heat, though, Simon. You don't see too often. Phil Bellingham, that'll be his first time in the 30. It's not too often you see an Australian king through to the top 30 as well, so he'll be really, really pleased with that as well. And Andrei Krasnov is a new name for the Russian team that we haven't seen too much, so some other athletes getting some opportunities out there, which is great to see.
Yes, Aussie snow sport on a bit of a crest of a wave at the moment. We'll be heading towards Pyeongchang with the hope of a few medals, especially on the freestyle side of things. But a good win for Shanava, confirmed. Pellegrino through, and Arna and Krasnov will have to wait and see. Quarter-final number 3, and Posey, time to start waving the British flag now.
Yeah, let's get supporting. We've got Andrew Young in this one, who qualified in 3rd, so that's an absolutely fantastic result for him so far. Really, really good qualifier. It's given him a good boost of confidence, and I know I've spoken to the coaches earlier today, and he's feeling good, and he's feeling in good form today.
Yeah, it certainly displayed that earlier on in qualification. That's a very fast time, and as we said, with some of the names missing from the draw, something like 7 out of the top 10 in the men's draw not here.
Yeah, 7 of the top 10 in the sprint overall rankings at the moment aren't here today. That's a combination of a couple of ill, some of those all-rounders who finished the Tour de Ski. So yeah, there is a really, really opportunity for him today.
Big chances then. Here he is, Andrew Young on Great Britain. Has looked good during parts of this season so far, as have several other members of the British team. Emil Jonsson, another very experienced athlete in this one. Yeah, Semenic of Slovenia goes bib 24. Bib 25, Jovian Heidegger of Switzerland. Also in this race, Norway's Kasper Stadash and Renaud J of France. But in terms of the speed through qualification, Andrew Young in bib 3 is the man to watch. So first part of his challenge today, got himself into the top 30, and now time to try and move through. And everybody really gunning it away from that start. They're trying just about everything to get those skis moving. And it is so important to establish your position towards the front, and on the inside is ideal. But you don't want to be 2nd or 3rd line back on the inside, otherwise you've got a lot of work to do on this course. And at the moment, Young towards the back and not able to get too much speed away from the start.
No, and normally Andrew Young looks very, very relaxed as well on his skis. He's got a really slow, powerful tempo, but you can see he is working hard here, and he looked a little bit scrappy just trying to jostle through. So he's moved up a couple of spots there, but I'm sure he'd like to be a little bit closer to the front.
One of the taller men in the field, Posey, and he's having to restrict his style there just to make his way through the gaps.
Yeah, you can see his sort of elbows in a bit. He's having to really squeeze through some tight gaps. But he's a little bit closer to where he wants to be. Took that inside corner really well there, just able to move up into the top 3. So that's better position now, but it's really, really tight here. We've got Jonsson in front, again, just showing his experience, followed by Heidegger, who's had a couple of really good ones this season. And they're all really working as we come up to under the bridge again, where there's another opportunity for them to pass.
So course widens out under the bridge, and Young's got to make sure. Oh, someone's gone down. That's bib 19. So Renaud J of France is out of it, and may just have clipped Young, and he's had to take some action there to avoid the collision, and that's put him right back now. So this is going to come down to some serious speed for the top 4. And this one is going to be close. Kasper Stadash of Norway moving into top spot. And this looks like it's going to be a problem here for Young. There's some very quick men around him, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to make his way through here. So Stadash it is from Jonsson as they go to the line, and Young is going to have to wait and see whether 157.2 is fast enough, and I'm afraid it isn't. No green light against him, so no lucky loser. And so much opportunity for Andrew Young today. It hasn't happened.
Yeah, that's a real shame. I tend to think of Andrew Young as a very good tactical skier as well. He can often sort of make his way through some of those more tactical heats, but unfortunately just got a little caught up there, I think, in that crash earlier on that put him at the back of that pack that was remaining as they came into the finishing straight.
Well, there goes the Frenchman, Jay. He crashed down, and that just seemed to push everybody a little bit wider. Well, that's a real shame for British cross-country ski racing fans. And Andrew Young will be very frustrated at that, but good racing from Kasper Stadash and Emil Jonsson. They made their moves when they needed to. And that just basically shut the door on the other two. So Young and Heidegger not able to do anything about that one. Starash and Jonsson then through from quarter-final number 3. Not the first of the drama today, it's certainly not going to be the last. Confirmation then of the result in that one, and it is Starash and Jonsson through. To our 4th quarter-final of the day for the men. And there's our 6 in the lineup. Again, a few names in there that you don't always see through to the latter stages, and that's what's quite refreshing about this Dresden event. Nick Baldorf of Austria. Great to get the experience of making a top 30, but sometimes that experience in your first go can be a little overpowering. Richard Jouvet of France. There's bib number 17, fastest qualifier in this event, in this particular quarter-final, is Evan Nortug. In the under-23 category as well as the senior category. Andrew Newell, vastly experienced American, bib 18. Do you know what, if he's got the speed in the skis, a little bit of tactical nous might suit him today.
Absolutely, I think he'll be fancying his chances today, so let's see if he can take the most of this opportunity and get a good result here today. We haven't seen him through to the semi-finals yet this year, so we'll be looking for his first time through to the top 12 of the result sheet.
Another youngster looking a little pensive, Eric Valnes, bib 23 on the line. We also saw bib number 16, another North American from Canada though, Julian Locke. And this one, well, this one's wide open basically. This could be anybody's out of 6 here. So under starters orders for quarter-final number 4. And away we go. Let's see what Newell's tactic is here. I'm not sure he's got the speed against the youngsters in the opening part of the race. Although he's emerged nicely there.
Yeah, he's got a good start there. Richard Jouve is probably who I'd have thought would be at the front there. He's had a couple of good results over the past few seasons, and particularly as strong in a skate sprint as well, so he'll be really focusing on today. Interestingly, we've got a Nortug in this heat, but not the Nortug that you'd normally see. So we've got Petter's little brother on the start line, representing the family. Petter Nortug not having his best season so far. Olympic qualification is, I think, pretty severely in doubt for him as well. So that's a name that we're used to seeing, you know, coming through in the big events. He's got a string of Olympic and World Championships medals to his name that isn't going to be there. So let's see if his brother can do something instead today for him.
Yes, time for the next one off the production line to step up to the plate, as it were. So there is Newell, just trying to tactically position himself, and he's done that very well. Bib 18, the American, just behind Julian Locke. So Canada leading the USA at the moment. And just having a little look across his shoulder there, Newell. You've got to be careful, though. You can't take too big a look because this course is so tight. There's a lot of traffic around you, but it's still 2 North Americans leading at the moment.
You've got to focus on your own race here. I think any look behind you can throw you off balance a bit, just ease you up for that fraction of a second that it takes for someone else to get past. So he's got to just focus on skiing the best line and not worrying about anyone else coming through.
Good move from Evan Nortug. Bib 9 got himself to the inside, the fastest man from qualification in this heat. Those are our 2 lucky losers at the moment, 155 and 156. And that's bib 17, Juve getting pushed to the outside but making his way through. So at the moment, Nortug and Juve looking favourite here. Locke's going to have to go some, and Juve is going to out-ski him quite comfortably. So Norway and France are through. Nortug and Juve. Different Nortug, same result.
Still at the top of the result sheet, as always. That was a great finish by Juve there. Just, you know, it was quite boxed in. It looked at one point like he might struggle, but really did well to get a good line as they came through that last corner into the finishing straight and managed to ease home in 2nd place. So I think that was some great tactical skiing there by him. Yes,
you just picked him out on the screen as he came to that part of the course and made the move very well indeed.
Yeah, good skiing. Unfortunate to see Newell not finishing up in 6th there. We thought he might be able to use his experience to get through. I think he's going to be really disappointed with that because he had a good opportunity and just couldn't keep that speed going right till the end there.
So 4th quarter-final for the men decided. Norway and France with athletes through into the semi-final from that one. A group of 6 athletes left in the last quarter. We'll have our 2 qualifiers from each of the 5, plus those 2 lucky losers. As we've already seen with Roman Schad's performance, those qualification times going out the window a little because the snow is getting rougher and dirtier, it's slowing down, and it's becoming a really tactical battle. Last of the quarterfinals then for the men. Klæbo, Schad, Cannava, Pellegrino, Starash and Jonsson, Northug and Juve are the guaranteed qualifiers for the semi-final so far for the men. And we've got one more race to go with 2 more guaranteed places. And then we'll see if the lucky losers are going to be lucky indeed. Last race then, Lampic, Arno, Hamilton, De Vick, Risset and Eisenlauer. Simeon Hamilton had a pretty decent season in the sprints a couple of years ago, so another American that is more than capable.
Yeah, I'd pick him as the favourite in this. This is a really wide open heat for me. I think there's an opportunity for someone we don't often see in the semis coming through. But Hamilton, for me, is the form athlete with the experience to go through at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting how those draws sometimes go, but very often that last quarter-final gets left with quite a lot of the slower times in it, and that does present a real opportunity.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really doesn't show the tactics and the confidence of anyone else. So the faster ones, Klæbo, Cannava, are confident of going through. They pick those earlier heats, so they're going to have a bit more rest before the semi-finals. If you think you might struggle just to get through to semis, you might pick a later heat. You might struggle later on, but just getting through to the semi-finals would be good for any of these athletes, I think, which is why they've chosen to go here.
So bib 13 was Clément Arnault, bib 22, Sebastian Eisenlauer. Here in Dresden, the home athletes getting a rip-roaring cheer on the start line. Beautiful setting down by the river Elbe with the Opera House just across the way. And the bridge, the Augustus Bridge that crosses the river, is the bridge that the racers go under as they go out and then back on this course. And away we go with the last of our quarterfinals, and that's bib number 21. So Fredrik Risset driving really hard away from the line, the under-23 Norwegian. And that's a very good turn of speed. He's managed to take the Swede De Vick with him, and also Janez Lampic of Slovenia.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, Simon, about athletes who want to use this to prove their worth to be on the top teams. For me, Risset is one of those athletes. He won the Under-23 World Championships last year, but that's just not enough to guarantee your spot on the Norwegian team. So this is a great opportunity for him to get a World Cup start and show what he's capable of. But if you want to be in the top in Norway, it's not good enough to qualify. It's not good enough to get to the quarterfinals. He's got to at least get to the semi-finals, I think, so considered a good result.
Yes, it's a system that just keeps producing winners, and the reason for that is that strength in depth in terms of talent. Nearly an upset there for Lampic, but just about stays on his skis.
Good recovery there.
Yeah, nice little move from Simeon Hamilton. He's crossing backwards and forwards over this track looking for his space, and he's gone back to the outside line again. He fancied it on the inside, the American, but realised that the two in front of him, De Vick and Risset, were just a little bit too big and too fast. So he's gone back to the outside, the American, to try and find his way through, and he's making his way through. Yeah,
that was a... Oh, no, still a little bit scrappy still, but he's got himself in a better position into second place as they go up that little bump before the finishing straight. So that is where he wants to be, but he needs to make sure that they cut across here as they come into that final corner, that he holds that position as they turn left here and go into the final straight.
Great drive across that hill from Risset. Well, this little bump, it's not quite a hill, is it? But Risset, the Norwegian, controlling this race well, and Hamilton has established a nice position here, and that is very well raced by both men, because that was a tough one. That was a really tricky race, and Risset and Hamilton handling themselves well. Risset went with pure speed all the way. Hamilton had to pick his way through. Yeah,
Risset went, didn't want to be in any trouble there, got to the front, stayed in the front, stayed out of trouble. Hamilton had a slightly trickier path to get there, but I think did really well to stay on his feet and manage to move around in position and get where he needed to be. So first or second, doesn't matter, you're still through to the semi-finals.
Now, you've had a good look at this course, Posey. Would you fancy racing this one?
I mean, 2 minutes of skiing would be absolutely ideal for me.
I didn't mean from that perspective, dear me. Great. great to have a crowd here like this as well.
Yeah. No, it's great to race somewhere new, somewhere different, and somewhere that's really bringing, I think, a different audience to the sport. So these city sprints, I think, are a really fantastic opportunity for that. You often, you know, these are people that might not travel out to the mountains to see something, but when it's on the doorstep, you can see all the people lining the bridge there. There's great crowds at the finish. It's nice, it's fun for the athletes as well to have that.
Yeah, some different views as you head off around the course. And here in Dresden, they've done it pretty well. This is nicely set up. Risseth and Hamilton confirmed as through. Well, we're going to take a short break from our racing here in Dresden. When we come back, it'll be time for the women's semi-finals. Stay with us. Welcome back to Dresden, semi-final one about to get underway for the women. A couple of really experienced names in there, one lucky loser as well in Cole. But this one should be a cracker of a race, and Stina Nielsen is the athlete to look out for, laying in second place at the moment on the overall sprint rankings, but was beaten today in terms of time by Hannah Falk. So no guaranteed qualifications from this one. And as we go away, bib 22, Vesna Fabian. Then we've got Hannah Cole, bib 21, Sophie Caldwell, bib 11, Maya Dahlqvist, bib 5, and then the two big names in this one, Stina Nielsen, 2, Hannah Falk, 1. What a heat to end up in for those two. And this could be tricky for the two big Swedish names, because there's plenty of athletes in there that could cause some problems here.
Yeah, absolutely. A big name doesn't mean anything, does it? Everyone else wants to get through to that final as well. So Stina, again, just doing what she does best. She's got to the front. You often see her controlling races. But although she is being pushed a bit there by Dahlqvist, who's also jostling for the front. But Nielsen, in general, you will just see going to the front, controlling the race, and staying out of trouble.
So Dahlqvist, bib 5 leads of the 3 Swedes in this first semi-final for the women. In second place at the moment, it's Stina Nielsen, second fastest qualifier today, and just behind her, Hannah Falk, who hasn't had a podium so far this season. So from Falk's point of view, she'll be a little bit nervy there, trapped on the inside, and she's got to make some decisions here. And the two athletes that are in front of her at the moment are both her compatriots, so this could be trouble, and she's trying to put the gas on now as she comes back towards the stadium.
Yeah, great day by the Swedes overall today in the women's. They took 4 of the top 5 spots in qualifying, so they obviously had some great skis. I think that's really important, and just managed these very short, sharp courses really, really well. So those 3 are up there trying to control it, but I think Caldwell, just keep an eye on her as well back in 4th. A lot of confidence from that podium in Lenzerheide. That should do her really well today. And again, quite a good skier, tends to be very agile, good at staying on her skis and, you know, nipping in some gaps and getting through. So I think she's not out of it by any means yet either.
Swedish fans starting to get interested here. Sophie Caldwell making her way on the outside as she comes to the downslope and heads back towards this finish line. And we're going to get some big names missing out here. This is going to be a terrific finish. This is mighty tight between Dahlqvist and Nielsen, and Caldwell trying to get herself up and level, and she's just going to miss out. So Nielsen and Dahlqvist 1 and 2. Caldwell misses out. Falk, our fastest qualifier from earlier today, has gone as well in 4th place. And that's 2 big names out in the semi-finals.
Don't forget, Simon, you do still have those 2 lucky loser spots in the semi-finals as well. So we'll take a look, see what those times are like in the second semi-final, because they could still squeeze through, but not by any means guaranteed. You really want to be getting through in that top 10, that top 2, sorry, just to give yourself a bit of peace of mind while you wait for that second semi-final to happen. No,
great point, Posey. It is that little bit of a safety net. But it all comes down to how fast your heat was, and was it fast enough to give Falk a shot? Because remember, she was 4th. It's Caldwell that finished ahead of her. So she's going to have a very nervous 5 minutes or so to wait and see what happens in semi-final 2. Well, it's a fascinating course to race on, because you can't just apply the hammer. It's not a case of get yourself some space and go. You have to work your way through this.
Yeah, and it's really about thinking, when am I going to put the speed in? You know, is it going to be at those couple of points where it widens? Do you just put that burst in at the front so you can control the race? You have to be a little bit smart when you're racing here today. But as per usual, we've seen the top athletes coming out on top. Nielsen, we're used to seeing at the top of the results, and there she is.
Confirmation then, Nielsen and Dahlqvist through. As Posey said, Caldwell and Falk have to wait. Wow, dramatic stuff then. First semi-final. They have a few going out, and this one's going to be a cracker as well. Semi-final 2. Anna de Wick goes bib 4 for Sweden. Ida Ingmarsdotter goes bib 16. Then a winner in Lenzerheide, Lorien van der Graaf, goes bib 3 for Switzerland. There is de Wick in bib 4. Then Alenka Čebasek of Slovenia, bib 7. Gaja Vuric, 17. And lucky loser from Germany, Chicho of in bib 18, in front of the home fans. And we will see whether that's going to be good enough in this heat, because there's some cracking names and some really good technicians as well as tacticians ahead of her. So Vuric did well. Italy turning in some good results so far today across both sides of the draw. Sweden, the team at the moment that are dominating. They said that Slovenia had a few names in there as well, but they are being whittled down at the moment. There we go. Bit of a cheer from the home crowd, and for some of these young athletes, it's the first time they've really had a chance to perform in front of a crowd like this at a senior event. So really all part of the experience, the learning curve. Oh, don't wake her up. Right then. Now, 2 athletes will be watching this one very closely indeed. Hannah Falk and Sophie Caldwell from semi-final 1. And 2:09 their times, so round about that sort of mark. Depends how quick this one is.
Yeah, the course has been really slowing down over the course of the day, Simon, as well. It's quite warm there. The snow, as I said before, is a little bit dirty. So you can see those times have slowed sort of 3 or 4 seconds since the qualifiers, which is quite a significant amount on a course this short.
Vuric from van der Graaf at the moment. The Swiss racer van der Graaf with that fabulous win on Swiss snow. First time in a long time as well that a Swiss racer has done that. So she's emerged as a real superstar, and she's quite an aggressive racer as well. So this course at the moment seeming to suit her, and knows exactly what she's doing here, hugging this tight line heading up towards the bend, but just having a bit of a go. The Slovenian Čebasek coming round on the outside, but I think she's been closed off there. And this turn at the top of the course is where we start to see things really unfold. Yeah, it's going to really hot up here. Vuric has done exactly what she did in her quarter-final, which is to get out in front and try and control it. She did manage to get through in the quarter, so it obviously worked for her, but you can just see as they come round, they start heading back. Everyone's starting to fight a little bit more for their position, not content to just let her stay out in front there. But van der Graaf holding steady in second. That's where she needs to be at the moment. But we can see Anna de Wick starting to make her move and come through again now. So de Wick has taken her time, but she did that a little bit, managed her quarter-final very well indeed, and she's doing exactly the same thing here. Knows that she's got the speed coming up the little slope and across the top of this course, and that's where she's going to back herself. And now the gritted teeth of Vuric showing that she's feeling it, and Vuric has just been knocked there, so lost her step and isn't able to carry on. And that just leaves the door open for van der Graaf to come through. And van der Graaf has taken Anna de Wick with her, with Čebasek going for one of those lucky loser positions at the moment. And we lost the other Swede, Ingmarsdotter. So another big name going out by the looks of it at the semi-final stage. And it is going to be van der Graaf across the line. Great work from the Swiss to keep herself out of trouble. De Wick finishes in second, Čebasek at 2:10. That's not going to be fast enough. So the point that you made at the end of the first semi-final comes to fruition, and it does look like Falk and Caldwell are going to get a shot at the final as lucky losers, and they will take that. But Ingmarsdotter absolutely gutted. Welcome back to Dresden. It is heart in your mouth racing here on this very small, tight, quick course in the city centre. 1.2 kilometres of all-out sprinting, and we go into the men's semi-finals now. And well, we can expect exactly the same, because the women's racing has been tight. We've seen some big names out. The men's racing, I'm sure, is going to be exactly the same. Well, fastest qualifier involved in this opening semi-final Lucas Chanavar, who I have to say looks incredibly calm. He was very relaxed away from the line. When everyone else was going hell for leather, he was maintaining ski speed with real calmness.
Yeah, he looked very, very comfortable in that, which is great to see. This, for me, Simon, could be a final. You've got Pellegrino, you've got Chanavan, you've got Kleiber, all in that first heat. That, for me, could be the podium. So look out for some pretty fast racing as those three are fighting to guarantee their slot in the final.
And they're going to have to go quickly to guarantee a lucky loser spot as well. That second bit of safety net there means that they can't afford to dawdle here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the tactics. You know, if they're confident enough, they think they can be in the top two, they might slow it down. If it were me, I think I'd probably want to be giving it a bit of speed just to guarantee getting that as the second option. And also, a heat with Kleiber does tend to go quite fast. You don't see him hanging around tactics. He just likes to get off front and work hard and you know, get in there.
There's Roman Shad through in 30th position, but brilliantly through in his quarter-final. Kleiber goes bib 2, Chanavar is bib 1, Krasnov enjoying the crowd, bib 26. And we've got Kasper Stadash looking pretty confident as well down there on the line. I have to put that down as a cheesy grin, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
Well done to him. And then Pellegrino. Now, we saw the way Pellegrino raced his quarter-final, very tactical, sat there in behind the leaders and then used that incredible burst of speed towards the end and then just disappeared out of the finish area. So he knows what his job is today, but it's whether he's going to be given that opportunity. This one is going to be a cracker.
Yeah,
away we go.
It'll be interesting to see. Kleiber and Chanavar both had the same tactic of going to the front. So which one of them is going to manage here? You can see they're both fighting. They want to control that race right from the start, but only one of them can get in front. And that, I think, is going to make for a hot pace in this heat.
Chanavar, courtesy of his lane draw, has the inside line, which for the right-hander at the top part of this course is ideal, but only if you have the ski speed, and he just doesn't have that at the moment to match Kleiber, who yet again has gone herring away at the front of this race. So Kleiber, Chanavar, as we probably would have predicted in the first kilometre, and now we're going to see how things unfold as we get towards the tactical areas of this course.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's got the ski speed that Kleiber does at the moment. You know, no one, he just seems to have a pace that no one can keep up with. So he's controlling it nicely. Chanavar, as you said, right behind him. I still think Pellegrino will be comfortable there. I think he's got that confidence in his tactics and his ability to get through when he needs. Although having said that, if I were him and I were right at the back just now, I'd be a little bit concerned.
Pellegrino making the decision to stay on the inside line there, and that means really he can't move from that line. So he's got a lot of traffic in front of him, the Italian bib number 5, but it looks to be opening up for him as Kleiber really starts to ramp this up. So this is going to be a fast one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's working really hard there. But you see Pellegrino, again, he does just have some really great speed and some great tactics. He managed to sneak through on a gap where no one else would normally be able to do anything. You'd see most people in that position stuck in 6th, but he's worked his way up to 3rd place there.
Kleiber from Chanavar going into the bottom of the climb. Pellegrino just makes a bit of ground there on Stadash. And Kleiber now tucking in on that inside part of the course. Chanavar happy just to settle in behind him. And that's the top 3 as we really expected. Kleiber, Chanavar, Pellegrino is going to be the race to the line as they come into this finish zone, and it's Kleiber just over the line ahead of Chanavar, and Chanavar completely ignored Kleiber there and solely focused on Pellegrino.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't want to call it too early, but I feel confident that's going to be a fast time, Simon. So I think we could see all 3 of those going through anyway. But again, Pellegrino, I'm sure he'd rather have been in 2nd place there just so he could guarantee that spot.
So we'll have to keep an eye on the times for Pellegrino. But I think you're right, Posey, and also in 4th position as well. We saw the 2 lucky losers go through from the first women's semi-final, so completely possible that the 4th place athlete could have been dragged through as well. Look at Kleiber's technique away from the line. That's mad.
It's not pretty, but it's effective.
The Italian coach there just roaring at Pellegrino as he went past, and that's how far back he was. He was in last position coming off that curve.
And when you look at that, you look like he's got no room at all to get through, and yet somehow he manages to do it. So he really is a great tactical skier. I think we missed that earlier. Roman Shad just going down at the back of the pack there and slowing down Stadas as well, actually, who I think was quite solidly in 4th and just was slowed down as well by Shad tripping over.
So Krasnov was the beneficiary of that, the Russian in 4th place. We'll have to see if that's a fast enough time for lucky loser, but it's got a chance, certainly. But our top 2 then, confirmed, Kleiber and Chanavar, but we think Pellegrino with a good shout.
abgesprochen, da ist 11,03 Sekunden hochgestoppt worden. Hinter dem Norweger Ludwig Jensen Platz 2 auf dieser doch selten gelaufenen Strecke. Der Langläufer auch auf dem Boden dieses Ausnahmetalent.
Semi-final 2 for the men here in Dresden. And a very different look to the lineup in this one, and I think you're absolutely right. Posey Musgrave alongside me. That first semi-final could have been the final.
Certainly could have done. I think there's some people here who still have a shot in that final, but those top three in that first semi-final for me are the three strongest people here today.
So a nice mix of experience and youth in this next one. Even Northug goes bib 9. He fits into the youth category, as it were, along with Risset as well, his Norwegian teammate. But then you've got the likes of Emil Jørgensen, Simeon Hamilton and Richard Jouve of France. So really nice mix of athletes in this. There is Northug taking over the family tradition, powering his way through cross-country draws, but this is going to be a toughie to get through. Richard Jouve, France, looks more than relaxed and comfortable on the line. Now, Risset has looked pretty nervy on the start line from the start of the day, but that's obviously the way he is personality-wise. It hasn't affected his racing. Yeah,
not quite the confidence of Stedas that we saw in the first heat there, does he?
No cheesy smile.
Doesn't really matter when you get out there on course.
Very popular racer, Simeon Hamilton of the USA, has had success in sprints in the past and in North America as well in front of home fans. Here in Germany, what can he do? Emil Jørgensen looks pretty confident as well. Big athlete is Jørgensen, as is the last man that we're going to see, Arne of Norway. And we've said it before, big units on a small course, that can sometimes make for some very interesting racing.
Yeah, these ones like Arne don't leave a lot of room for other people to get through. He's well over 6 foot is Arne, so yeah, and not an easy man to get past.
So they're ready. Semi-final 2 for the men, and away we go. So bib 21 Risset, bib 17 Jouve, bib 15 Hamilton, 14 Jørgensen, 9 Northug and 8 Arne. And that is Jouve trying to use his speed at the start of this race, but not having it all his own way, because as Risset did in the quarter-final, he's proved just how quick he is away from the start line, and that's some pretty expansive pole work there from the young Norwegian.
Yeah, getting a really good long glide there. You can see with this fast and flat course, they're using the skate 3 technique, which is where you only push on one side. That's what you'll tend to do when it's as fast as this. You don't need to push quite as often. You just put a lot of power in, let the skis glide and do the work for you.
So far, so good from the under-23 Norwegian Risset, and just behind him, Jouve.
Yeah, you can see the difference in body shape you were talking about there at the start. Jouve is a much smaller athlete, so he looks quite small, sort of tucked in there behind Risset. So his tempo is a little bit faster, but he's holding his position well. So I think he'll be pleased to be up there in second at the moment.
So looking to join Kleiber and Shanavar, guarantee qualifiers from the first semi-final in the final, and Risset is doing a great job here. And if he wanted to prove himself in front of the Norwegian coaches, he's certainly doing that at the moment, but he's going to have to watch himself here, because the pace being upped by Emil Jørgensen. So Emil Jørgensen comes through on the outside. Jouve's got trapped a little bit there, and also coming through is Evan Northug. So Northug making his presence felt as Risset just starts to run out of gas here. And that's great work from Jørgensen. Jørgensen now picking up the tempo, and Jouve is going to have to watch himself here, because that's brilliant work from Northug. And he's trying to shut the Frenchman out here. 1:55 and 1:57 for our two lucky losers. Jørgensen really pushing hard for the line, and alongside him, Northug going to dive for the line from Jouve as well. And this is going to be very close indeed. A photo for the top 3. And looking at that time, I would say Pellegrino looks safely through. I don't think it's going to work for Krasnov, but Pellegrino is through, and we're going to have to wait and see to sort that out. Goodness me. Well, no wonder you need photographs sometimes.
I'm going to call that for Jørgensen. I think...
You're a brave woman.
But I think we'll wait and see what the organisers decide. I'm not going to call that 100%.
That is a cracker, but it certainly looks like Jørgensen might have got it, and Jouve might just have snuck through as a lucky loser there as well. We'll have to see. Welcome back to an absolutely cracking day of sprint cross-country racing here in Dresden on this city centre course. Snow has been trucked in over the last few days. They've had their problems with the weather, so not a lot of training time for the athletes down there. And all of those factors put into the pot has produced some very, very tight racing indeed. So we're ready for the women's final to go ahead. We'll confirm the lineup for you, but maybe the biggest news from Dresden, no Norwegian woman in a sprint final. How long has it been since we've seen that?
And also not even through to the semi-final, and I certainly can't remember the last time that that happened. We're so used to seeing them dominating and taking all of the top spots. A few of the big names didn't start today. Maiken Kaspersen-Faller's been ill, so she wasn't on the start line at all. Osberg and Weng resting up after the Tour de Ski, so some of them are missing, but even so, we had a few like Mary Ada that you would have thought could take advantage and go through, just, you know, not taking advantage of that today. So instead, we've got 4 Swedes in the final.
Yes, Sweden, the dominant force here in Dresden. And one of them, a little lucky to get through. Hannah Falk coming through as the lucky loser, fastest qualifier at the start of the day. And she'll be in there with Stina Nilsson and Maja Dahlqvist, and also through as a lucky loser from the USA, Sophie Caldwell. And it's set up very, very nicely, this. We've seen some of the heats earlier in the day, especially in the men's competition, where we've had a lot of big names in there, and you thought, well, I'd have liked to have seen that a little later. But this is a pretty good lineup for the women's final.
Yeah, it's a really classic lineup. You know, Stina Nilsson, Van der Graaf, Caldwell, they've all had finals and, sorry, podium finishes in other events through the year. So we know they're the best on any given day. So I think that the class has still come through to the final here.
Yes, a win for Van der Graaf in Lenzerheide on home snow. Also with wins, Stina Nilsson, 2 wins in Ruka and Davos. And then podium places, Sophie Caldwell getting second behind Van der Graaf in Switzerland earlier in the season. So the athletes about ready to go and make their way to the start line. There is Hannah Falk, who did have a bit of a nervous wait for the second semi-final to come through. But fortunately, her time in 4th position from that first semi was good enough to guarantee her place in the final. That's bib 11, the lucky loser Sophie Caldwell from the USA.
And those ones who got those lucky loser spots, Simon, they also have the advantage in that first semi-final. They got just a little bit more rest. You know, it's only 3 or 4 more minutes, but that recovery time can make the difference when they now come into the final. So let's see if that has an impact as well.
Yeah, based on all those factors that we've just taken into consideration, who's your money on here? That's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a tough one, but I'm going to go with form. I'm going to go with Stina Nilsson. I think it's just hard to look past her. She's won a phenomenal number of races over the last few years. Doesn't seem to matter too much if it's a shorter sprint or a longer one. Skate, classic, technical, no, not too technical. She's always there at the top. So I'm gonna go sensible today.
A real all-rounder, Stina Nilsson. So Nilsson, Van der Graaf, De Vick, Dahlqvist, Falk and Caldwell is our fantastic lineup for this women's final. From Sweden's point of view, every chance here of not just getting podium places, but clean sweep on the podium. There's Stina Nilsson. We know what she'll try and do. From the start of this race, she'll be trying to power to the front and boss things from there. And from the point of view of our fastest qualifier today, Hannah Falk, she's going to want to get things tactically much more on cue, because she wasn't great in the semi.
No, she was quite lucky to get through there, fourth in that first semi-final. You know, just really squeaking through by a couple of tenths of a second.
Florian van der Graaf goes bib 3. That win in Lenzerheide has really buoyed her confidence heading towards the last preparations for Pyeongchang. Anna de Vick has looked good. She's been tactically aware during the course of racing today here in Dresden. She's managed her races very nicely and always managed to find the gap. And then Sophie Caldwell, well, you know what Sophie will be doing. She'll love to be right in the middle of things. She'll be in the mix and trying to make it happen if she can. And then the last of our Swedes, bib 5, Maja Dahlqvist. Again, a racer that can cause problems. One of the taller racers out there. Could make it difficult for the athletes to get past her. So that's our lineup for the women's final, and it's an absolute cracker. Onto the line then for our last loop of this city centre course here in Dresden. Caldwell 11, Dahlqvist 5, De Vick number 4, Van der Graaf 3, Nilsson 2, Hannah Falk number 1. And there's Falk trying to do a little bit more work at the start of this final than she did in her semi-final. She's certainly learned her lesson.
She has indeed, but she's been challenged there by Nielsen once again, just doing what she does best and going to the front. Again, it's a hot pace as they all try and get in that front spot as the race starts. Falk's done well to just sneak in there in front of Nielsen as they go down out to the furthest point on the course.
Bit of clean space for Hannah Falk, and that means now that she can cut down towards the inside of that course with impunity. And if she can do that as they come to the top of the course, she'll have the best line going round that tight right-hander.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you get a good line as you come to that 180 degrees and you basically go back on yourself towards the finish line. If you can be on the inside line there, you're saving yourself just a couple of meters, but that's really vital in such a short course.
Well, don't adjust your sets. It isn't a Swedish training session. It is an actual final. It just happens to be that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 from Sweden at the moment, but being led out by the fastest qualifier from this morning, Hannah Falk. And Stina Nielsen just getting pushed off the pace a bit there, so coming through into second place. That's Maja Dahlqvist, number 5, and down goes Nielsen. And that is Nielsen's race done for today in Dresden. So the door open now for Hannah Falk, and Dahlqvist tracking her determinedly. Sweden have lost one of their 4 members. Falk leading it out. Stina Nielsen isn't going to get back from there. And this is going to be very tight indeed as we move down through to the closing section of this race. De Vick in 3rd place at the moment, Dahlqvist in 2nd, and Falk leading it out in 1st place. Can anyone get back to them? The 2 Americans working very hard here.
Yeah, Falk just needs to hold that line. She needs to cut in a little bit left to make sure no one gets through as they come into the finishing straight. She's done exactly that as they come up to the finish.
And now they separate out into the closing sprint, and it's Falk that moves to the middle. Dahlqvist is having a go at her, but it's going to be Falk first, Dahlqvist in 2nd, and a dive by the looks of it from Caldwell and Van der Graaf. Wow, that is a very, very close finish in terms of a photo for the podium places. But from Falk's point of view, the job is done, and she earned that. She put the pressure on right at the start, learned a lesson from the semi, and controlled the race from the front.
Yeah, we said she needed to get out faster and be able to control the race, not have to rely on getting through, and she did exactly that. She went out hard, she got in front, she stayed out of trouble, and it was a fantastic race.
I said 2 Americans earlier, but it was 1 American, 1 Swiss. Van der Graaf looked like she got herself in amongst it. Really unlucky for Stina Nielsen when she crashed out of the race. And that denied us what could have been an even more exquisite finish, but that was a belter.
Yeah, I think Nielsen would have fancied her chances if she'd stayed on her feet. She's got a great sprint finish, as I said, so she could have done it. She'll be very disappointed with that, I think. But credit to Hannah Falk for you know, taking advantage of that.
Full marks to Nielsen, came straight up to Falk to congratulate the winner. Great race from Hannah Falk to win here in Dresden. Well, Falk and Dahlqvist in amongst it as we got to the closing stages of this result with this race. It was a very good final up to the point where Nielsen crashed out, and then it really started to open up.
Just shows when the course is so tight, you know, there's not a lot of room. Most people have been able to manage a little bit better. I think that was probably Nielsen's fault, in fairness. She moved a little bit to the left and tripped on De Vick there, so she's only got herself to blame. But that's what happens when it's fast and furious and as tight as it was today.
Yes, certainly didn't see any recriminations after that one. And then once Falk got control, she really ran this race from the front and coming down the middle part of that sprint finish. So Falk getting herself to the line first, and then Dahlqvist diving for the line against number 11 from the USA, Sophie Caldwell. And that's our 1, 2, 3 at the moment. They're just still sorting that out with a photograph. It was very, very tight indeed. Yeah. But it's a win for Falk.
Yeah, that's a first podium as well for Maja Dahlqvist on World Cup, so absolutely fantastic result. We talked about there's a possibility for younger skiers and less established ones to come through, and Dahlqvist done exactly that today, so that's absolutely fantastic result for her.
Well, that is our confirmation of the 1, 2, 3. Hannah Falk ahead of Maja Dahlqvist with her first podium, and Sophie Caldwell getting onto the podium again after her second in Lenzheide.
Yeah, so a second consecutive podium for Caldwell, just continuing that amazing run of form the American skiers have been having over the last few races as well. So good podium, I think.
That was breathless racing. That really was exciting today. We said there would be a few factors involved in the racing here in the Dresden City Centre, and that's exactly what has happened. And, okay, maybe not absolutely pristine alpine conditions, but that's certainly going to have given the public a really, really good race to watch.
Yeah, it's just great to see that. I think that short format, I think, suits the city sprints. People can see the course the whole way around. They can know what's going on in the racing, and they can, you know, see a bit of jostling, some argy-bargy, and some really fast bits. And you know, that's what you want to see, isn't it, when you go out for a race?
Yeah, absolutely. Impact points all the way through the day. You're seeing incidents on the course. You're seeing result after result, and that's great sport to watch.
It looks like they're enjoying it, especially all those Swedes you can see out in there.
Yeah, the Norwegian fans and the Norwegian flags not there at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit quieter than normal. Yeah.
Yes, they've had a good day today, Sweden, and particularly Hannah Falk in the women's division. Fastest qualifier at the start of the day, nearly messed up in the semi-final, didn't race that one very well at all, finished in 4th place, but got a lucky loser spot.
First win,
Here is the winner.
Since 2011, first podium this season. Good timing, you have 30 Ulricehamn fans here.
Yeah, I really nice this kind of city sprint, and it was a good day for me, and have all my family and fans from Ulricehamn here cheering at me, so it was a really good day.
And make it into the finals as a lucky loser, and for sure on a course like this, positioning is important. You could see in the final you were straight to the front. Maybe you changed the tactic a bit?
Yeah, I think I was a little bit unfocused in the start, in the semi-final, so I really tried to focus on the start and took the front, and then it was just to push hard.
Congrats on a nice win.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations indeed. It's all right for us to talk about lucky losers in the commentary box, but that was quite brave there of the journalist to ask the question, and well answered by Hannah.
Yeah, she was honest now. She said she learned from that, as we said she needed to do, and yeah, paid off in the end. So great result. As she said, their first win in 6 years, I think it is.
Yeah, I didn't realise that it had been quite that long for Falk. She certainly hasn't been on the podium this season. There you go. There's a man riding a horse alongside a riverbank. We got it all this morning, I tell you. That's River Elbe in the background, by the way. There is a golden horseman statue just by this stadium, but they're not going to show that. I thought that might be relating to that for a moment, but it wasn't. So we look forward to the men's final now, and already said it about the women's, but I'm going to say it again about the men's. What a cracker we've got in store. Klæbo, Shanavar, Pellegrino, this is going to be super quick.
Yeah, it's going to be fast. There's going to be, again, I think we've seen in all of those the heats so far, Klæbo's gone straight out in the front, Shanavar's done the same. I don't think there's going to be anything different going on in the final. I'm expecting them to go out hard once again.
Yeah, in terms of anyone outside those top 3, who else might we look at for a possible result here?
You know, sprints are really hard to call because it could be anyone. For me, I'm going to put it out there again. I'm going to go for the favourite. I think Klæbo's got this in the bag today, but some of those ones in the second semi-final, Johnson does have experience. Juve's had podiums in the past, so if he times it well, a little bit better, he's got the opportunity. But I think that first semi-final for me, those 3 skiers are the form athletes at the moment who are going to be hard to beat.
Always Pellegrino had to make his way through to the final as a lucky loser, but tactically he's been getting things quite right all the way through his racing today. He's found his space, he's waited his time, and then trying to use that blistering turn of speed. We think we know what Klæbo's going to do because he tends to do it with every race, but he has just powered away from the start, held on to that top spot, and really kept himself completely out of trouble.
Yeah, if it works, why do anything else? He's got a winning formula, so he's going to stick with it.
It's Lucas Shanavar in the #1 bib, our fastest qualifier today. He did try in the semi-final, he did try and take Klæbo on down that first straight and through to the side of the course, but he just didn't have the speed, so he's going to have to think about what he's going to do here.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not quite sure what else he can do. For me, that's actually the best tactic, just to try and take Klæbo on right at the start, because I think if you get off his tails to begin with, it's going to be hard to catch him back up. But Klæbo just has so much speed at the moment. He's just on such great form.
The man in the red bib to signify that he's the leader on the sprint standings, but more than that, he's undefeated, and that's important to remember. He dipped out of one race this year to give everybody else a chance, which was very kind of him. But for the races that he's gone in, he has been just superb. And in the last 7 races that he started, he's had a podium finish. So that's one better than Ustyagov's current record. Ustyagov not racing today for Russia, one of the big names not here in the top half of the draw. So all eyes will be focused on Klæbo, and then it's going to be who can cause him problems, and also whether anyone can get in amongst it on the podium. We'll have to see with the men's final just a couple of minutes away here in Dresden. The crowd have been treated to some cracking racing today. Maybe not all seen all of the biggest names on the World Cup Tour, but they've certainly seen some great action. Start this then for the men's final. Klæbo the favourite, but Chanavar got the fastest qualification time. We think Chanavar and Klæbo are going to go at it down this first straight. It'll be fascinating to see how close the Frenchman can stay to the young Norwegian. There he is in the number 2 bib. He has had one single simple tactic today: get out into the lead, stay in the lead. Evan Nortug, good racing from him. Timed his challenge very well in the semi-final to get himself through and over the line. Having a bit of a hat-hair day for the final, unfortunately, Nortug. And there's Emil Jonsson, all the experience that you need in a race like this. He knows exactly what he's going to try and do. It's whether he has the speed and the power to execute. Pellegrino, keep an eye on the Italian. He was last, coming into the bottom of the hill in his semi-final, worked his way up to a lucky loser space. And Lucas Chanavar has looked in quite fantastic form. I didn't think he had as much space as he would have liked in the first semi-final, and that is something that certainly restricted his speed.
Yeah, it did a little bit. I think he managed it really well. He obviously wanted to get in the lead there. Didn't quite manage to get in front of Klæbo, but managed to slot himself into second place and make the most of that as well. So it's quite, actually, I think that's really important as a ski racer, that you can adapt to circumstances. If your plan doesn't work, what's your plan B? He did that really well. Yeah,
always good to have a plan B. And of course, like this, probably a C and a D as well. And in bib 17, Richard Jouve, so the second Frenchman in this final. Men's final then, ready to go. And away we go. 17 Jouve, 14 Jonsson, 9 Nortug, and 5 Pellegrino, 2 Klæbo, and 1 Chanavar, and it is that head-to-head Klæbo versus Chanavar, and Chanavar's made a great move here.
And look at that gap already. It's incredible. They're only about 500, not even 500 metres into the race, about 100 metres into the race, and they've already got a couple of metres.
He's done him again, hasn't he, Klæbo?
Yeah.
And Chanavar's giving it absolutely everything here, but it looks like Klæbo is going to overpower him and get that inside line. And there you go, Klæbo's done it. He's got control of the race ahead of Chanavar. Pellegrino will be very happy with his position there, just moving himself into third. And bib 9, Nortug, looks like he might have had a problem there because he's way off the back, so he might have just lost a pole.
Yeah, we didn't quite manage to catch that, did we? But I think he must have lost a pole or something, because he's a little bit off the pace already.
Chanavar coming back. Oh, well held, Klæbo. Sticks rigidly to that inside line. The Frenchman giving it absolutely everything on the outside. And now we're down to pure speed as we set up towards the hump and coming back to the stadium for a big finish here.
Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, as we said. We got Klæbo, we got Chanavar, we got Pellegrino out in a line in the front of the race. Klæbo trying to hold on to first there, but I like that Chanavar's not giving up. He's, you know, Klæbo's won every race, but Chanavar's not giving into this on a plate by any means. He's working hard.
Jonsson trying to find a bit of room as well. Jouve not out of it just yet, and here comes Pellegrino. Pellegrino against Klæbo. It looks like Chanavar's race is run, and it looks like Italy versus Norway, and Pellegrino has powered past Klæbo. Is this going to be Klæbo's first defeat of the season? Down the in-run and on to the home straight. Pellegrino dives for that middle line, and the Italian pushing hard. Back comes Klæbo. Klæbo pushing him all the way. Pellegrino has got it on the line. Oh, what a race from the Italian. And he has proved that the young man from Norway is not indestructible. Klæbo beaten, but only just.
What an incredible race from Pellegrino. You didn't think he had that in at halfway. You thought he was out in third already.
He's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. Look at that. And Klæbo not so sure. That is a humbling moment for the young Norwegian.
Yeah.
Although maybe with Pyeongchang just around the corner, maybe you need those.
Might do him a little bit of good.
Cracker. The Italian's delighted. Klæbo is absolutely gutted. He did not see that coming. He thought Chanavar was the challenge, and it was all the way through to that mini climb as they headed back towards the stadium. And Pellegrino, that's where he put his foot down. And Klæbo didn't have the answer. Fantastic racing.
Absolutely brilliant.
Race. Well, there we go. Deserved applause for Pellegrino. He's the winner here in Dresden. Well, terrific racing here in the city centre in Dresden. It's been a superb day of sprinting. Pellegrino is the man. Took Kleibo just ahead of that closing straight. And Kleibo, fair play to him, he gave it the full treatment down that closing stretch. But Pellegrino's incredible turn of speed did the business. And Federico Pellegrino wins it for Italy here in Germany. Kleibo, the sprint World Cup leader, will remain so. For the first time he's been beaten this year. He's in second place. And France get onto the podium with Lucas Chanavar finishing just ahead of his compatriot Richard Gilles. Well, tactically superb.
Absolutely brilliant, and the Italians are rightly celebrating out there. I think anytime you can beat Kleibo at the moment, it's a cause for celebration. And for him, you know, he looks like second place is almost last place with that look on his face.
That is painful to watch. That really is. He has been so good this year. He has been virtually unbeatable until this point. We were talking about the fact that probably the only way he was going to lose was to fall over for someone to clip him, but nothing like that happened. This was pure speed at the end.
Yeah, I mean, just a brilliant race by Pellegrino. I can't say enough about how great that was tactically. He, you know, he had the confidence, even though, oh yeah, we can see there's where Nortic lost it. Obviously lost that pole right at the beginning. Managed to get another one, but it was just too late to get back on the back of that pack.
Cracking first part of the race, which Chanavar nearly tested Kleibo on, but this is where it happened for Pellegrino.
Yeah, just the way that he attacked that hill, you can see he's almost in the air at some points. They're both skis in the air. He's really just lifting up with so much power in between each stride. And I mean, just incredible. Really, really great attack. I don't think Kleibo was maybe expecting it, but it doesn't matter. Did exactly what he needed.
Just fractions in it. But Pellegrino lunges for the line, gets the photo, and consigns Kleibo to second place, which for most of us mere mortals will be a wonderful result. Not for him. He's not a happy man.
He doesn't look too happy there, does it? As you say, you know, could be a good thing right before Pyeongchang. Remind him he's not unbeatable. He's got to work there if he wants to get that Olympic medal. It's not by any means a given.
And there you go, there's your 1, 2, 3. Well done to Lucas Chanavar, fastest qualifier at the start of the day, and has raced very well throughout in order to get himself a place on the podium. But for Pellegrino, done himself a few favours today. A couple of second places so far this year in Davos and Lenzerheide, but now tops the podium here in Dresden. Well, that's what the crowd came to see. They've been rewarded with some terrific finishes to all our races today. Pellegrino still can't quite believe it. That was a big double take as he came across the line. Took some convincing there.
Yeah, it took him a second to go, have I really just done that? But he really has just done that, and fantastic result for him.
It's the Caravaggio view through that little fake canvas.
It's hard to move, but you did it perfectly with the tactics.
Right, let's hear from the winner.
It was not only about physics, but even about tactic. I knew that at the beginning of the race, yeah, I'm becoming a little bit old, so the young Kleibo and Chanavar are faster than me. So I just had to wait, but I wanted to attack in a longer place before the finish line. So yeah, Kleibo is a really good guy, because if he wanted, he could stop me, but maybe we crashed. So he preferred to stay quiet, to let me go on, and yeah, it's really good to continue to win in this sport.
Congrats, and yeah, and way to show the young guy how it's done. Way to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Well done to Pellegrino, playing the old man card there, and why not? He was really enjoying himself there. I'll just correct myself, it wasn't the Caravaggio view, it was the Canaletto view. There we go, now we're sorted. Kleibo, though, handed a defeat today, and a big defeat, and we'll see how the young man responds to that with the Olympic Games just around the corner. Terrific days racing then, very enjoyable days racing in the end. A win for Sweden, with Hannah Falk in the women's division, a win for Italy with Federico Pellegrino in the men's division. Well, biathlon coming up next. We go to Ruhpolding for some relay action in the women's division. That's what's coming up next on the channel. But for now, from me, Simon Golding, and from Posey Musgrave, thanks for your company. We'll say goodbye.